Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a really fascinating part of the Baha'i faith today, the twin holy birthdays.
Sounds intriguing.
We've got a text all about these special days, a Wikipedia article on Baha'i holy days in general, and some pieces from Days of Remembrance.
A nice mix of sources.
It is. We're going to try to understand what makes these birthdays twin in the first place, why they're so significant for Baha'is, and of course, learn about the Bab and Baha'u'llah themselves.
Sounds like a plan.
So these twin holy birthdays are actually celebrating the births of two central figures.
The Bab and Baha'u'llah.
Exactly. And their birthdays are on back-to-back days.
Yeah, successive days is what makes them twin.
Now, these aren't fixed dates on our regular calendar. They're based on the lunar Islamic calendar.
Right, which means they can fall anywhere between mid-October and mid-November.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
Adds a whole other dimension to the celebration.
And it actually wasn't until 2015 that the Universal House of Justice, the governing body of the Baha'i faith, they unified the celebration dates.
Oh, interesting. So before that,
Before that, there were different interpretations of when those lunar calendar days actually started and ended. But this decision was huge because it brought the whole global Baha'i community together in celebrating on the same days.
wow, unity in action. It's amazing how a calendar can have such a big impact.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the twin part. Why are these figures considered twin in the Baha'i faith?
It's all about the concept of twin manifestations of God. In the Baha faith, both the Bab and Baha'u'llah are seen as manifestations of God. Each one plays a vital role in revealing God's will to humanity throughout history.
Like chapters in a book, each one builds on the one before it.
Precisely.
But if they each founded their own religions with their own scriptures, it's really unique they're celebrated together.
Very unique. Think of it this way. The Bab's mission was to prepare the world for Baha'u'llah, kind of like John the Baptist preparing the way for Jesus.
Right, but in this case, both the Bab and Baha'u'llah are manifestations of God. They both hold that divine station.
Exactly. And celebrating their births on 2 consecutive days really symbolizes how their missions are intertwined.
A beautiful way to represent their shared message. Our sources mention a dramatic scene involving the Bab. Can you imagine this? A young man just 31 years old facing a firing squad alongside his devoted follower, Amarnas, who was only 15.
A powerful image of their faith.
It truly is. And that was the tragic end of the Bab's life. A life dedicated to spreading a message of world unity and preparing humanity for Baha'u'llah.
He was definitely seen as a threat by both Persian and Ottoman authorities. That's what led to his persecution and eventually his execution.
A stark reminder of what people face when they challenge the status quo, even with a message of peace.
One of the most captivating stories about the Bab is about a scholar named Mullah Hussein. He was searching for the promised one and had this amazing encounter with the Bab in Shiraz, a late night revelation over tea served from a silver samovar.
Such a humble setting for such a monumental meeting.
Right. And get this. The Bab predicted that Tehran held a secret that could change the world into a paradise. This prophecy, we'll see, is deeply connected to Baha'u'llah.
Now that's a cliffhanger. I'm already hooked. So we have this dramatic martyrdom, a mysterious prophecy about Tehran, and now it's time to learn about Baha'u'llah. How does his life unfold?
Well, unlike the Bab, Baha'u'llah didn't have a sudden end. He spent decades imprisoned and exiled. He was targeted again and again for his beliefs and endured some terrible hardships. The Black Pit Dungeon was one, and ultimately he was exiled to Akka. It was a remote penal colony.
It's hard to imagine going through all that for your beliefs.
It really is.
It's incredible how he held on to his faith in the face of such adversity. What was it about Baha'u'llah that allowed him to face all that with such strength?
Well, from what I've read, he was known for his compassion and selflessness. Even while suffering himself, he cared deeply about the well-being of others. He was known as the father of the poor and the mother of consolation.
Amazing how he could still think of others in those conditions.
Remember that scholar, Mullah Hussein, the one who met the Bab?
Yeah, the one searching for the promised one.
Well, he followed the Bab's prophecy about a secret in Tehran.
Oh, right. The secret that could turn the world into paradise. Ah. So Mullah Hussein went to Tehran.
He did, and eventually he found Baha'u'llah there.
Wow. So all these pieces are coming together. The prophecy, the Bab, and now Baha'u'llah.
It's really remarkable, and what's even more incredible is that as soon as he met Baha'u'llah, Mullah Hussein knew he had found the one the Bab had foretold.
So the Bab prepared the way, and then Baha'u'llah, following that same prophecy, stepped into the role.
Exactly, fulfilling the interconnected missions.
And, like the Bab, Baha'u'llah faced persecution too, right?
Yes, he did. He embraced the Bab's message, which angered the authorities. They imprisoned him and sent him into exile.
Really shows how strong his convictions were. We've talked about who these figures were and why these birthdays are celebrated together, but what about their message? What did the Bab and Baha'u'llah actually teach?
Well, at the heart of Baha'u'llah's teachings, which build upon what the Bab started, is the principle of the oneness of humanity. He called for an end to all prejudice. He stressed unity, kindness, and working to make the world a better place.
It's a powerful vision, especially in today's world.
These were radical ideas at the time, a world full of divisions.
Can you imagine a world where everyone is treated equally, no matter their background or beliefs?
That's the vision. Baha'u'llah wrote in one of his works, "Shut your eyes to estrangement, then fix your gaze upon unity. Cleave tenaciously into that which will lead to the well-being and tranquility of all mankind. This span of earth is but one homeland and one habitation."
It's a beautiful and very relevant message today with all the division and conflict we see. Do you think these teachings, this call for unity and connection, could be the secret that Bob talked about, that key to transforming the world?
It's an interesting thought. Maybe if the world embraced these ideas of unity, justice, and equality, we could find a path to a more peaceful and harmonious future.
It's a message of hope that fits perfectly with the idea of the twin holy birthdays. It's not just about celebrating two people, it's about the message they shared. It really emphasizes how their message continues even today. And these celebrations are still going on, right?
Oh, absolutely. Baha'is around the world celebrate the twin holy birthdays, and they're actually the only Baha'i holidays that are still based on the lunar calendar.
So each year, there's that anticipation of when they'll fall.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful way to connect with the cyclical nature of time. But unfortunately, I know that celebrating these figures isn't easy everywhere.
You're right. There are still places where Baha'is face persecution for their beliefs, especially in Iran.
What happens there?
Just acknowledging the Bab and Baha'u'llah as manifestations of God can lead to discrimination, even imprisonment.
It's a sad reminder that religious freedom is still something people are fighting for. But the Baha community keeps commemorating these holy days despite the challenges. It shows real strength. As we wrap up our deep dive into the twin holy birthdays, what are the main things we should take away from all this?
Well, we've seen how significant these twin holy birthdays are. They recognize the Bab and Baha'u'llah as twin manifestations of God. Their births, celebrated one after the other, according to the lunar calendar, that really highlights their connected missions. The Bab paved the way, and then Baha'u'llah came and built upon his message. He focused on the oneness of humanity. He urged people to strive for a world united by justice, peace, and unity.
And we also explored their lives, their stories. We saw moments of deep connection, like when Mullah Hussein found Baha'u'llah after his long search. But we also saw times of incredible hardship, imprisonment, and exile. Yet they never gave up on their message.
And finally, we touched upon the core message of the Baha'i faith. It goes beyond religion and speaks to everyone's hopes for a better world.
A world without prejudice, where unity and compassion are the guiding principles. It's definitely something to think about, especially today with all the problems we see in the world. It makes you wonder, what if the whole world actually embraced these principles, championed by the Bab and Baha'u'llah? How would that affect things like conflict, inequality, even the environmental crisis?
It's a question worth considering. Maybe, just maybe, embracing these ideas of unity, justice, and interconnectedness could lead to a more sustainable and peaceful world. It's a vision we should all explore.
For our listeners out there, we encourage you to ponder this. Maybe even delve a little deeper into the Baha'i faith and its teachings. You might find insights and solutions for a world that really needs peace and unity. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Baha'i faith's twin holy birthdays. It's a celebration of unity, a testament to resilience, and a source of hope for humanity.